Hello again, watch friends. Welcome back. Until a couple of years ago, finding a Seiko Alpinist outside of Japan was pretty much impossible. This is because the Alpinist, like other Seiko JDM watches, were meant only for the Japanese domestic market, JDM. One had to either go to Japan to buy one of these watches, or use a Japanese online site to order one, often in the Japanese language itself. Thank goodness for Google Translate. Then the availability dam broke, so to speak. JDM watches like the Alpinist, which has a reference SARB017, became available in the US and Europe. In the United States, the watch has been available on Long Island Watch, an online retailer of many Seiko and other Japanese brand watches, for at least 2 years. It's where I bought mine. And now you can even buy one of these on Amazon.com. However, if you want one, you better act quickly, since as of early 2018, Seiko has discontinued the watch along with the SARB033 black dial and SARB035 white dial. And as of fall 2018, now, these watches are still in the pipeline, but prices have increased by about $100 since the announcement, to about $500. The SARB017 Alpinist is the 6th generation of this watch, or at least of this name. Originally released by Seiko for sports enthusiasts, mountain climbers, and hikers in the early 1960s, this watch has appeared over the years with a black, cream, and green dials. The current version has a unique style, high quality, and very high coolness coefficient. So what makes the Alpinist so appealing? I think primarily it's the striking green dial. It's a sunburst green that looks different in various lighting. It's different and so dramatic, especially with the gold-colored text, hour markers, and Seiko marquee. More often than not, pictures don't do it justice. You really need to see this watch in person to fully appreciate it. The gold-colored applied Seiko logo at 12 o'clock and applied polished indices and numerals belie the moderate cost of the Alpinist. You don't normally see these features on a watch at this price level. The watch also has just the proper amount of lettering on the dial. Although the word automatic may not be necessary, it's written in italics and adds some additional class to the dial. Diashock 23 Joules, the second line, is something that Seiko often puts on their watches. Diashock is Seiko's proprietary shock resistance feature that makes the watch more usable in a rugged environment by protecting the movement from impacts and other knocks. The watch has no G-Shock, but using the Alpinist for its intended outdoor purposes is not a problem. And Diashock has been around for several decades. So Seiko is rightfully proud to mention it. Not every Seiko watch is so equipped. Finally, 20 bar represents a 200-meter water resistance, thanks in part to the screw-down crown. That's about 600 feet, at least in the US. I know, it's about 600 feet everywhere. Just a little fun poking at my country for thinking that the metric system was too difficult to implement 50 years ago. And thankfully, Seiko chose not to insult my intelligence by writing the water resist rating in both meters and feet on the dial. That's just my opinion. Anyway, 200-meter water resistance is typical of a serious dive watch, so kudos for that. The Cathedral Hands, Mercedes-style hour and sword-style minute hands are more elegant than necessary on a sports watch, but do class up the dial. and the pointers on each hand add to the overall precision aesthetic of the piece. Each of the pointy tips extend all the way to their respective markers on the hour/minute track, making reading time extremely easy. Also adding to the precision motif is the outer instrument-like minute track with 5 sub-ticks between each second. It's not all that useful, but looks cool. The hands are loomed, as are the pips at every hour mark, using Seiko's proprietary LumaBrite. The even hours are indicated with numerals on the dial, while the odd hours have triangular markers. Should also be noted that the seconds hand has loom on the pointer end, rather than the counterbalance side, which at least shows that the watch is functioning in the dark. The compass dial, the outermost chapter ring, is fun to use, although you can use the navigating technique with any watch, even ones without the compass. Here's how it works. First, ensure your watch is set to the correct time, obviously, and in standard time, not daylight savings. With the watch level, rotate the watch so the hour hand points to the sun. South will be halfway between the hour hand and 12 o'clock. This works in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, north will be halfway between the hour hand and 12 o'clock. The advantage of the compass dial on the Alpinist is that you can read compass points off the dial rather than relying on your memory of high school trig. Just rotate the inner bezel so that south is halfway between the hour hand and 12 o'clock. The inner compass-marked bezel is controlled by the second crown, located at 4 o'clock. Unlike a diver's watch, which has a bezel, external or internal, that only rotates in an anti-clockwise direction, for safety reasons, the Alpinist compass dial can move in either direction via the crown. As mentioned, any watch can be used for directional navigation relative to the sun, but having the compass bezel makes it easy to see the cardinal directions and maybe get a little more precise with the direction. And the dial has a date display at 3 o'clock, outlined in gold tone trim. Just a quick word on this feature. Usually I'm not a fan of small date windows on the dial. More often than not, the implementation appears as an afterthought. Not on the Alpinist. Though it's a small window, the crisp white lettering on a black background is actually easy to read and overall looks perfectly positioned. The date is there if you need it, inconspicuous if you don't. Well done, Seiko. The crystal is a curved, scratch-resistant sapphire. The case is a combination of polished and brushed stainless steel. It's 38 millimeters in diameter and 12 millimeters thick. Lug-to-lug distance is a relatively short 46 millimeters, so the watch really conforms to the wrist. The lugs are brushed on top and polished on the sides, and the case bezel is also polished. The lug width is 20 millimeters, so finding an alternative strap or bracelet won't be a challenge. You can see that I experimented with several strap colors and types until I settled on this brown Cola Reb leather strap. There are also a number of other features and attributes that are worth mentioning about Seiko's green, sporty, dressy offering, at least to the prospective buyer. Those of us who already own the 017 are in the know. One subtle but classy touch is the signed crown, which has an S for Seiko. It's engraved and brushed on the inside of the S. It's subtle, it's classy, it's Seiko. And the inner compass rotating bezel is curved, giving the dial a crater-like look and adding to the depth. It should be noted that this compass bezel complements but does not overpower the overall look of the watch. Next, the case back shows the Alpinist mountain logo and the word Alpinist etched in italics. The mountain logo has been a theme since the beginning of this line. The case back is screw down, which also enhances the impressive water resistance. Finally, the large knurled crowns give the Alpinist a masculine look. They and the other elements of the watch, such as the dial color and brushed case, increase the wrist presence. Although the case is only 38 millimeters, no need to fret about the size. The watch wears larger than you would think. The Seiko SARB017 field watch is powered by the Seiko 6R15 caliber 23 jewel self-winding movement, which can be hand-wound and hacked. Hacking just means that the seconds hand is stopped when the crown is pulled out to set the time. This is helpful for setting the precise time. The 6R15 is the same in-house caliber that powers many of the more expensive Seiko Prospect and Press Edge models. The movement has a generous 50-hour power reserve and beats at 21,600 beats per hour. The rotor on this movement is bidirectional, so the automatic winding is somewhat quick and more efficient. As you might know, the 6R15 is an upgraded version of the Seiko 7S26, which is found on the Seiko 5 models. The upgrades include the hacking, hand winding, and the longer 50-hour power reserve. Seiko specs this watch as having -15 to +25 seconds per day accuracy. On the time grapher, my 3-year-old 017 measures -5 seconds per day. That's well within the spec for the watch. I know this could be improved by regulating the watch, but I'm not a watchmaker, so I'm not willing to try to do it myself and possibly ruin the watch. And to have a watchmaker do it would be cost prohibitive. I'll live with this accuracy, thank you. By the way, even as good as the 6R15 caliber is, it still has machine-made parts and is mainly assembled by automation. Seiko does not regulate every watch that comes off the assembly line. Therefore, there's a lot of variability in the accuracy of these movements. For example, my SARB033, the black dial version, ticks at +6 seconds per day. Other 6R15 owners report even better accuracy. Lastly, the date change is classic Seiko. It starts at about 10:30 and snaps to the next date right at midnight. This is better than many watches at this price level or even higher. So, what's not to like? First, the 20mm stock strap is universally disparaged as being cheap-looking, too shiny, and, in my opinion, incongruent with the watch. This is a dressy tool watch, if that can be considered to be a thing. The dressy part is easily handled, if needed, by the dial, hands, and case. The tool part is where one can show some personal expression, such as how I've dressed up this piece with a high-quality Colareb brown leather strap. My chosen strap is consistent with the outdoorsy nature of the watch, while still evoking class. Other choices include a metal bracelet. Try the strap code Angus Jubilee if you want a high-quality, reasonably priced aftermarket one. Or maybe a NATO. Just pick your color, pick your brand, and get a good one to match the quality of the watch. Another potential negative is the green dial. Green may be an acquired taste and not for everyone, but I really think everyone should have a green watch in their collection. Few brands have them, but they are unique. Finally, the crowns, especially the main crown at 3 o'clock. It can sometimes dig into the wrist due to its size. It's not a big deal for me, but worth noting for prospective buyers. Now, to sum it up. By definition, every watch, or almost every watch, in a watch collection is there because it was chosen by the collector and therefore is one of the good ones. But I think every watch collector will agree that there are certain watches that are special for any of a variety of reasons. To me, the Alpinist is special. It's not the most expensive watch I own, it's not the most meaningful, and it's clearly not the rarest, although with a recent discontinuance, it will be increasingly more difficult to obtain. The Seiko SARB017 Alpinist is one of those special watches because it just looks and feels great on the wrist. Every time I wear it, I smile. So that's why it gets continued presence in the rotation. And you can see by the wear and tear on the strap, I wear this watch often. I hope this review has given you an appreciation of this desirable Seiko piece that has been around in one form or another for over 50 years. I like it and enjoy it. You might as well. Whether you call the Alpinist a sports watch, a utility watch, or a tool watch, or something else, you have to agree that it's one of Seiko's best models. If you enjoyed this video and want to be alerted of future videos, please hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. As usual, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.